What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Echo and the Bunnymen, and we're returning for the self-titled album, though I did want to give a shout out to Amber. She mentioned that both Porcupine and Ocean Rain should be available as well, so I figured we'll just continue through this album and then we can jump back in time and go through those. And the next track is Bombers Bay, which sounds military in nature. It sounds like a bay where bombs might be dropped, but at the same time, it feels like it could just be a proper name of a particular bay, and therefore, even if historically there's some association there, it might not be the case that the song is dealing with those heavy and perhaps destructive themes. It could just be about a setting for some interpersonal interaction or a backdrop for a feeling or a mood that is expressed during one's visit to or residence in Bombers Bay, but it's not a proper name that I'm familiar with, so I don't really know where to take this one, and even if it is a more overt reference to bombers and their activity in a bay, I can't link it to any particular conflict off the top of my head, so yeah, I'll just try to catch what I can on a first listen. This is Echo and the Bunnymen. The track is Bombers Bay, and it's from the 1987 self-titled album.
Shutters up and shutters down. Planes flew in and laid the ground. We built upon and spun around. God's one miracle, lost in circle. On the march, Berlin to Bombers Bay. Traveling dark on the road to Mandalay. Cannon fire came to call, stutters up and watched us fall the way we would. And now our worn, our costumes changed to uniforms. Black days, here to stay. On the march, Madrid to Bombers Bay. Traveling dark on the road to Mandalay.
That fluttering synth.
Your troubles and your old goodbye. Smile, boys, that's the style. Pack up your troubles and your old goodbye. Smile. They give us hope and teach us well with magic moves, cast a spell and hypnotize and draw us in. I I'm believing God's own miracle, moves in circles. On the march, Berlin to Bombers Bay. Traveling dark on the road. On the march, Berlin to Bombers Bay. Traveling dark on the road to man.
compelling tune that my brain is gonna need to hear again and process some of those lyrics more, digest the themes, but it does seem overtly military in multiple respects, though I wonder if it maybe extends beyond a single conflict. I definitely heard reference to particular place names, whether or not Bombers Bay is a literal place or more of an expression to indicate the way that whether you're marching from Berlin, I definitely heard, or Madrid, I think I heard too, or you're on the way to Mandalay, it sounds like people are going to places of conflict where they may perish, and shooters up and shooters down, reference to cannon fire, and I think uniforms being black maybe, but also black days, which is perhaps a way to talk about death or days where awful things are happening. And yet the song has this floaty, soaring sort of feel, so I wonder whether there's a bit of contrast deliberately between the sonics and the darker themes at play. It almost reminded me a bit in terms of the sonic sound of like a U2 track, which, again, I know people have different opinions about different bands, and whenever I compare one band to another prominent band that was around at the same time, I know there might be feelings of like, don't make that comparison, but it sounded like one of those songs from U2 where it's a bit soaring and flowing, and Bono's voice is doing very melodic things, but it's actually about heavier, darker concepts, and I felt like that was maybe the case here. And again, a nice mixture of like natural sounds with like a guitar and the drums, which had a couple different percussive rhythms. There was that section where it got a bit more syncopated and it was sort of cycling, and then it went back into the flowing section, but mixed with some nice keyboard chords, like really lush sounds. I think Ian sounds good on the vocals, and again, delivering in a way that wasn't terribly different from some of Bono's finer moments. So I feel like it's a tune that perhaps has that light-dark contrast or synthesis to it, so I'd have to hear it again, and I'm sure there's some people who could give some insight here, like lyrically, but it sounds like we are talking about military conflicts, people dying, people marching off to one place or another where they may face their end, but they're part of these larger geopolitical and military movements and forces that are causing, cannon fire and bombs to drop and maybe shooters to fall as well. So yeah, I don't know how it all pieces together or what the specific references may be, other than, again, some place names like Berlin, which I'm sure I heard, and I thought maybe earlier it was like from Madrid to Bombers Bay. And if we're talking about Berlin, of course, I'm thinking World War II, Madrid, maybe the Spanish Civil War, and so on, which makes me wonder whether we are talking about similar processes playing out in different conflicts. But either way, a very enjoyable tune. I absolutely liked it. Obviously, it's notably distinct from some of the earliest stuff, which had a bit more of that post-punk, raw kind of energy to it. But I like, again, when a band has a diverse catalog and evolves over the course of time, and even if fans at the time maybe weren't always perfectly on board with or were surprised by, a different sonic direction for one album versus another, as someone who now gets to look at and listen to all this material from sort of an elevated view with a compressed time frame, spanning many, many years, but now hearing it over a shorter period of time, I enjoy the diversity of their sound, and again, still lots to go, not only ahead of this, but even backing up a little bit after we get through this album. So again, thank you to Amber for sharing the material, and to all the folks who've been following this particular journey. Let me know what you think of the tune, and I will see you next time. Peace.